Hey everybody, I'm Trish Christ. NECAT and our super crew of teenagers are here today with the Conservancy for the Parthenon and Centennial Park. President Sylvia Rappaport is going to show us around and tell us all the cool things they do in our community.
Come with us.
It's our Nashville.
It's our Nashville. It's our Nashville.
It's our Nashville.
We all know how to talk about our organization during meetings, but what about the chance encounter of a lifetime? You never know who may share your next elevator, notice your logo on a notebook or a tote bag, and ask what you do. What's the clearest, most persuasive thing you can say in a short elevator ride?
The Conservancy is absolutely the place to be. We are the most dynamic nonprofit in the city because we are the stewards of two iconic treasures in the city of Nashville, the Parthenon and Centennial Park. It just doesn't get any better than that. And we are the private piece, the for-purpose piece, the support alliance for the city and for Metro Parks, for the programming, and for all the really cool things that go on.
The Parthenon is certainly one of the most iconic buildings, images of Nashville anywhere. And so I have many things to ask you about and chat
Wonderful.
with you about.
Most photographed building in the world, you know.
Most photographed building in the world?
Mm-hmm. That's what they say.
Our Nashville Parthenon?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Wow, I want to call up France and tell them. So let's start with the original construction of the building. How did that come to pass?
1897, Centennial Tennessee Exposition. It was the state of Tennessee wanting to create a World's Fair, really.
Okay.
And they called it Centennial Park. It was on, it was actually a farm. And they asked each city around Tennessee to design a building. Like Memphis had the pyramid, Memphis, Egypt, had the pyramid. Nashville, considering itself the Athens of the South, decided to build the Parthenon, a full-scale replica of the ancient Greek Parthenon.
That's a pretty massive endeavor for 1897?
1897, it was held over 6 months, and I think it is really interesting that the population of Nashville was under 100,000 in 1897.
Wow.
The exposition, again, 6 months only, brought in 1.8 million people. So it was an opportunity for people to come and experience different cultures, new agriculture, electricity was new. So President McKinley flicked the switch for the electricity to light up everything on the grounds. It was, some of us think, the most creative thing the state has ever done.
And so is it the building that stands today that was the same building constructed for that exposition?
Well, the idea was, but that was built out of materials that were only to last 6 months.
Even though I have learned that in the past, that is hard for me to wrap my brain around, that the original construction that was the first Nashville Parthenon is 1897. And apparently people love that so much, we wanted a for real, keep it forever kind?
Yes, it's only one of 2 buildings that lasted. The other one was moved out to Franklin, the Knights of Pythias, which is a home out in Franklin. And then Lake Watauga survived. But the Parthenon was the only building that Nashvillians said, we have, it was our first art museum, and we have to offer this because, again, we're the Athens of the South.
Nice.
So it was, I don't want to call it hubris, but it was a sense of pride that we offered this. And when I commented that it was the most photographed building, in large measure, that's because it's not only tourists, but it's archaeologists and historians. It's classical architecture.
Sure, sure. And so that sort of temporary building went away and we rebuilt what we have today as the Parthenon.
Yes.
Neat.
And they used aggregate, which was brand new at the time. You know, there were a lot of concrete purveyors in Tennessee. So they did aggregate so that it would simulate the color of the marble. And that's how we have that really pretty amber tone.
Help us understand, if you will, the relationship between the nonprofit that is the Conservancy for the Parthenon that you run and Metro Parks and Recreation. What's that relationship?
We're the nonprofit for-purpose organization, alliance, that supports the two treasures, the Parthenon and Centennial Park. And the relationship is based on the funky relationship that the Parthenon and Centennial Park are owned by the city, but they are both operated by Metro Parks. So in effect, the Conservancy is a friends group to Metro Parks. And we work in partnership with Metro Parks, whether it's the Parthenon or the revitalization of Centennial Park. We work with the city and Metro Parks.
And I think you guys had a name change in a decade or so ago. You used to be Friends of the Parthenon.
Yes.
Tell me about the choice of the word Conservancy for the official name.
Well, we were anticipating moving into the 21st century, and the conservancies all around the country have had new vigor because the government can do so much. And the good news is they can keep the lights on and they can pay staff and they can do the nuts and bolts. But in terms of the programming, in terms of the educational pieces, and programming like Kidsville and Musician's Corner, these rely on the private sector. So the word Conservancy was important. We've had several names. It began in 1983 as the Athena Fund.
Oh, nice. Because
it really began collecting money to pay the sculptor to create Athena. And then it was Parthenon Patrons. And we were not interested in anything that was elitist sounding. So that's when we said we want to be more of on a national level, and iterations later became the Conservancy for the Parthenon and Centennial Park.
What are some things that the public can do inside the Parthenon?
Well, we have an education director who says that you can teach anything at the Parthenon. Science, math, art, I mean, just name it. The Parthenon staff had already established lecture series and educational programming for children, tours with school age groups, Davidson County Come Free. When the Conservancy became involved, we started funding more programming for education so that it could expand into children on the autistic scale, adults with Alzheimer's, visually impaired, different levels of how do you access the Parthenon. Created a tactile exhibit so that children and visually impaired individuals could come and experience the frieze, the different pieces of sculpture, and they could experience it in a tactile way instead of just a visual way. Another thing that was a dream of the Conservancy a decade ago was to provide storytelling at the feet of Athena every Saturday morning. And that, you know, was an example of an idea that just grew better. It morphed into something far more interesting than just storytelling at the feet of Athena.
Which is pretty darn good anyway.
Agreed. But considering that's a default, it's pretty cool that every Saturday from 11 to 11:45, families can come in free of charge and have activities, fun activities, creative activities that relate to the Parthenon and a specific exhibit or something that's happening in the park. It's all related, and we have rock star curriculum advisors who are working with the education director and staff at the Parthenon to provide these.
Every week we meet here at the Parthenon at 11 o'clock and we tell stories and we talk about Greek mythology. And after we get finished with our story time, we head into the treasury room and we do arts and crafts. Do you like coming to story time here at the Parthenon? What do you like about it?
I like the one that the bunny and the jaguar.
The bunny story that we told a couple weeks ago? That was a good one. I love being able to spend time with Cora and my other friends who come visit us here every week. and I love telling stories, and I love doing arts and crafts, and telling stories in front of Athena is just a great background and setting to just tell these really inspiring stories. Cora, if you had to guess how many times you've been here to story time, how many times do you think you've been here?
I think I've been here 10.
10 times? Okay.
So that's small children, elementary age children, you would say, for the
We
Saturday
say,
morning.
well, siblings come in at any age. Pretty much would say from 5 to 7 up to 12 is what the activities are targeted for. But younger and older siblings come in and figure out what they're going to do. And I've never seen anybody bored.
Sure, sure. And so that's upstairs in the Parthenon by
Yes.
Athena.
Yes.
What else goes on there? I know you have a permanent collection of art and some changing exhibits.
Yes. So the permanent collection is what some people feel is the finest 19th century American collection in the Southeast. It's the Cowan collection. It's not always complete because it's not always exhibited in its complete form because there's not space. Because we do have traveling exhibits. We have permanent exhibits also. David Ewing, who is an historian in Nashville and a big collector, has loaned us his centennial exhibition memorabilia, and so that is on permanent exhibit. We bring that out. We also have Ridley Wills, who donated his postcard collection of the Parthenon Centennial Park historic postcard collection, and that is on exhibit from time to time.
Neat.
So there's always something new and fresh happening at the Parthenon.
Yes. Tell me about symposia and lecture series and openings and that sort of thing.
So there are openings when there are art exhibits, and we have for the past probably 12 years, we've had a docent program. So docents are part of coming to an instructional piece before the art opening so that they can be more of a part. These are volunteer docents. We have volunteer greeters now so that when visitors are coming, I think in 4 years, we went from 120,000 visitors to close to 300,000 visitors.
Oh my
All the
goodness.
more reason to have volunteer greeters occupy visitors when they come in if they can't get in right away.
My name is Bob Day. I'm a docent, a volunteer docent for the Parthenon school tours and others.
And I'm Candy Toller, and I'm also a docent and a member of the Conservancy Board for the Parthenon in Centennial Park. We give tours to all ages of children. Yesterday I gave a tour to some junior high students and some high school students.
And we also do college students and just other groups.
Adults.
Yeah.
We give tours to a wide variety of people, from 6-year-olds to 75-year-olds or higher. And one of the fun things Bob does is give architecture tours. And he starts outside.
We give tours that only talk about the architecture of the Parthenon and its history through the original Parthenon, through the years. It was a Greek temple for 1,000 years, then it was a Christian church for 1,000 years, then it was an Islamic mosque for another 250, 300 years. So we talk about that.
One of the most interesting things I do is coordinate the Parthenon Speakers Bureau, and I go out into the community and make presentations. And there I had a spine-chilling experience when I was talking about Tennessee Centennial in 1897, and there was a woman in the group that I talked to who had talked to her grandmother about coming to the Centennial. And that was just so cool for me.
It's fun. Getting to interact with the groups. It's the
My
most fun.
favorite thing about being a docent is watching them walk up the steps and approach the naos and put their hands in front of their faces when they see Athena because they can't believe that she is so beautiful.
And big.
And big, yes.
Last year and this year, we started Sip and Savor, Tastes and Traditions. Whether it's a fundraiser or an educational program, we're not quite sure. It's taking on a life of its own and probably moving into the educational programming piece more, bringing in people who have never come into the Parthenon and see what's there and become members.
Now, there are a mountain, no pun intended, mountain of things we can do on the grounds of the park, such as?
One of our programs we're incredibly proud of is Musician's Corner. And that grew out of a board member's interest in Speaker's Corner in London, in Hyde Park. And he said, we are the epicenter of music. And Centennial Park is our city park. We should be the world center. And we birthed Musicians Corner, and the idea was to have a space, an area in the park where musicians would come in an organized fashion on Saturday afternoons from noon to 6, where every 20 minutes a musician would change all genres. I mean, you know, from bagpipes to rock to pop to country to Americana. I mean, you name it, jazz, Fisk Jubilee singers, classical. We've partnered and partnering again with the symphony. And if you don't like something that's being played, just wait 20 minutes because something else will happen. Free outdoor music in the park. So A, best lawn party in town. B, Musicians Corner destination with a small amphitheater and stage has become part of the first phase in our Centennial Park Master Plan. And during the week, it's small enough, there's nothing cavernous about it, so it's small enough that a busker can come up and just play on the stage by himself or herself, or bring a dozen friends to play. So it's really a Musicians Corner is not a concert series, it's a destination. We have food trucks, we have art vendors, we have musicians.
Dogs
it
and
is a scene.
kiddos.
Dogsville, Kidsville at Musicians Corner, Dog of the Day. It's a piece of everything. And I really would put it up against anything that's happening anywhere in the world of that ilk. It's that fabulous.
I'm John Tominello. We're in the Musicians Corner section of Centennial Park. The great thing about Musicians Corner, it's open to everyone, all ages. We have from infants to grandparents. It is completely free. We have all kinds of people, all different socioeconomic groups, all visitors, locals, and it's a wonderful open environment, a gathering place for Nashville. In Hyde Park in London in the late 1800s, they started out Speaker's Corner. And interestingly, that was the same time that the Tennessee Centennial Exposition was in Centennial Park. So they both got their beginnings around the same time. Musicians Corner came up as an idea with the Conservancy in around 2010, where Centennial Park, Music City, would have a Speaker's Corner type location for music. So it is originally built as a worldwide destination for people to come to express themselves in music, to enjoy music, and do that right in Music City in Centennial Park, the heart of Nashville. One of the missions of the Conservancy is to preserve, enhance, and share Centennial Park and the Parthenon. And this is a big part, our programming, like Musicians Corner in Kidsville, has a lot to do with our sharing of the park. So one of the things we try to do is make Centennial Park a gathering place for people in Nashville, not just to throw a frisbee and run and picnic, but a gathering place for community events, because that's part where the entire community comes together. It's not people doing things individually on their own. You see a lot of friends groups come, and a lot of families come together and spend time in a beautiful green space. So we love that Musicians Corner and Centennial Park could be that kind of vibrant heartbeat of the city.
So you mentioned the magical words master plan.
Yes.
Let's talk about the master plan.
Sure, sure.
It's physical transformation and more, I think.
And transcendent. I mean, it really is. I don't use that word often, but it has been. So a mayor asked if we would look at Centennial Park that had been loved to death. And the mayor was asked because a group from the Conservancy pointed out that it had been loved to death.
That's a great
so
phrase.
he basically charged us with hiring a landscape architect who would look at Centennial Park and dream big and bring back world-class ideas. Wow. The first phase we wanted to do very quietly, very modestly. It was a partnership with Metro Parks, Metro Water, and the Conservancy. And we did a $9.5 million project, which included dredging and cleaning Lake Watauga, which had not been done since
Folks may not know what Lake Watauga is, just by its name. We all know what it is when we see it.
Yes, it's the water feature in the park that was the only water feature. And from the exposition, man-made, it's totally man-made, people who grew up here are nostalgic
boats.
about paddle boats, feeding the ducks, releasing their ducks at Easter. I mean, all sorts of things happened at Lake Watauga. I don't think it had been cleaned since the early 60s, so it was dredged, cleaned, aerated, added floating islands. We've added beehives on the island, safely tucked away on the island so they don't bother anyone, but they are thriving. We found the origin of Cockrell Spring, which was a huge deal because we knew it was there and we knew it was going directly into the Metro sewer.
And this is a natural water
It's a
spring
natural
under
spring.
the underground.
Yes, and so someone from Metro Parks actually was walking around with a landscape architect's team, and you could hear the water, but he found it and uncovered the original concrete cap that had been closed since the cholera epidemic 100 years ago.
Wow.
And he found the spring. It is still pumping close to 200 gallons a minute, which if you check, that is an extraordinary amount of water. It is clean, cold. I think it's 56 degrees year-round, pure water, and it's now, we are on the track to be water neutral. It's now going right into Lake Watauga. It's irrigating the grounds of Centennial Park. We think we should bottle the water and have Centennial Park water,
neat.
just like we should have Centennial Park honey in a couple of years.
Yes, that's for your sip and savor right there.
Exactly, exactly. Honey's in every culture. The mayor, again, strong partnership, agreed that we needed to take on the second phase of revitalizing the park and renovating it. We're not restoring it because we're not trying to we're honoring the history of the park, but we're not trying to recreate the park.
Okay.
We're trying to bring it in to the 21st century. So this next phase is the band shell, restoring the band shell. That is a restoration piece, and building a new event pavilion.
That's really useful. There are so many events, not just that you guys put on, but that other organizations come to the park and want to do. An event pavilion makes wonderful sense.
Yes, the event pavilion is used for everything from the big band dances, which is a major program, to family reunions, to corporate events that take place. There's also a piece that we're doing first in this next phase, which is the re-engineering of turf in the Great Lawn. So the Great Lawn is that 28 acres when you're looking from West End towards the Parthenon. It's that beautiful view, that aha view of the Parthenon. So part of the Great Lawn restoration is creating the alleys that were originally there with trees and lowering the street that crosses.
Yes.
So lowering it so you don't see cars. So from West End, you will just have this vista of the Parthenon for that aha moment.
Okay, this is our last final little fun segment with you, and it's a speed round of questions, just like the game we played when we were kids. I ask you something, and literally the first thing that pops into your mind, just let it out, and we'll go on to the next one. All right, ready? Speed round with Sylvia Rappaport. First, who's your favorite Greek goddess?
Oh, Athena.
And why?
Wisdom, warrior.
Great. How about the boys? Who's your favorite Greek god?
Have you seen Poseidon's chest?
No, but I'll come over and look at it very soon. How well does Wesley Payne really speak Greek?
Perfectly. Perfectly. Conversant.
I hear
Fluent.
laughter from off camera too.
You know what? It doesn't even matter how well her grammar might be in Greek because the delivery is so over-the-top flawless
Elegant
that
and
you will
grace,
believe
yes.
anything she says.
That's how it is in English with me and her.
Yes,
absolutely.
yes. Do not let facts get in the way.
Which came first, the Nashville nickname Athens of the South or Nashville's Parthenon?
Ah, well, you know, it was Athens of the West originally.
I didn't know that. Nashville was Athens of the Western
That's
world.
where the
I
Western,
see.
yes,
I
yes, yes.
see.
The Western United States.
Oh, wow. Of course, that makes sense for the
I
time
know.
we were talking
Well,
1897.
Yeah, the 1897, you know, I would have to say Athens of the South because the Nashville Parthenon really came about in 1897. A tagline was, Nashville Centennial Park welcomes the world. That was it. Anyway.
Neat. What 1975 Robert Altman film features a presidential campaign rally in the Great Lawn of the Parthenon?
Oh, please. Nashville. I was an extra.
Were you really?
Sure.
Excellent. Now I have to go rewatch. Of all the world-renowned rock stars you have given tours to, who is your favorite?
The most erudite rock star on the planet, Mick Jagger, who came very well prepared on the Parthenon and Centennial Park.
Nice. I wonder if he read about it or someone prepped him. Or...
Well, he did go to the London School of Economics, which is
That would help.
comparable to our MIT, and yes, and both.
Nice. And last of all, what's your website?
Conservancyonline.com.
Thank you, Sylvia.
Thank you.
That's great.
This was a pleasure.